the outbreak of COVID-19, reports have shown that all types of violence against women and girls has intensified into what we now refer to as the shadow pandemic. Since the COVID-19 pandemic began in this country, service providers reported at least 2/3 increase in clients. So how do you know what domestic violence looks like, especially in the changing landscape of COVID-19? And what has it been like to serve on the front line of the shadow pandemic? We're going to be talking to people who work in that area, and we're also going to be talking to someone who very bravely has shared her lived experience as a domestic violence survivor. We're going to be discussing how survivors can get support and how we can end gender-based violence and what can we do in practical ways to support survivors. We also took part in the walk against family violence on the 25th of November, and that was around the North Richmond Public Housing Estate to mark the start of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And we'll hear from some of the participants and the speakers on the day. So let's get into it.
Hi, my name is Achut and I work at North Richmond Community Health as the Yarra Public Housing Mental Health Project Coordinator, which is part of the Healthy Communities team here at Yarra. So our role is to support residents of public housing, access mental health, reduce stigma, and just, advocating for their concerns and needs, while that they live in the state. And we support residents in Fitzroy, Collingwood and North Richmond Community Health.
Hi, I'm Beck. I am a counsellor and social worker at North Richmond Community Health. A part of my role is individual and group counselling for family violence. We're a multilingual team, a mix of social workers and psychologists, and we work with low-income families on the estate and local surrounds who have social work and counselling needs.
My name is Marianne and I am Healthy and Wellbeing Team, Mental Health Project in Yarra Estate, and my focus will be in North Richmond Community. I work at North Richmond Community Centre.
Hello, my name is Meron. I work in North Richmond with Hara team. My role is help and support officer. So we help people with COVID related issues and safety for infection prevention. I am a family violence survivor.
What was the prevalence and nature of the domestic violence experienced by women and children in the local community during the pandemic, particularly during the lockdowns?
I found that the family violence did increase, and the types of violence was different to what we were used to seeing. More stress of having all the family at home in often a quite confined space that wasn't particularly comfortable. People had lost jobs and income issues, and that increased stress. And all of those things don't cause family violence, but it can certainly exacerbate it.
What was the connection between the lockdown and the increase in violent behaviours?
I think just, people staying at home, like just being in each other's, space all the time and just like not being able to know how to solve the conflicts. And then it's just, it just reaches to, like a violent point where, people are abusive towards each other, which is, could be like, words, like hitting, things like that. So I think, a lot of ethnic families in general don't really, talk about how, difference or conflict on how to manage that. Mm-hmm. So it's usually like, just obedience, yes, and all these kind of stuff. So they're not used to that constant, like it's mostly avoided conflict. So when people are out of the home, they're not really getting into much conflict with each other all the time. But when you're studying from home, when working from home, there's a lot of exchange of abusive words.
Yeah.
If I can just add to that while you were speaking, I was thinking that one of the risk factors is if a partner is employed. which usually means they're out of the home. For safety planning,
Yeah.
it's much easier
Yeah.
if the partner is employed and out of the home. So I think the lockdown has certainly added to that.
The lack of space.
The lack of space and the lack of you're highly visible when you're all in one house together.
Yeah,
the opportunity to leave and implement safety plans is much harder, and that's why the employment factor is a risk factor as well.
In my culture, they really obey a lot of the husband and respect him and think he's man on, like financially he's the owner. And like, woman and kid is like, he's the boss around the house. He's the leader. Some are really, in good way, but rather than they try to control over in bad way. And women kept at home, not allowing to go out.
Yeah, I was also just going to add, about the cultural, aspect. It's just that sometimes, when families, move from, overseas and then, they come into Australia and, go into these Western countries, there's this huge fear that, they don't want to lose their culture. They don't want to lose their tradition. So sometimes it almost turns into, kind of a dictatorship.
Yep.
Kind of you can't, I don't want you to be these, Western people or all these kind of stuff. So, but I don't know, I think it becomes a blurry line, because violence is not a part of anyone's culture.
No.
But, there's just, the patriarchy there, in their countries is a lot more, just enforced, and there's just not a lot of women's rights, where here there's actually laws in place, and that's for them, that's kind of they feel threatened by that.
Yep. Taking power from them.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up by saying I agree. No culture promotes violence, but certain cultures have barriers to accessing support and resources. There might be fear in contacting police or trusting a court system, fearing your children being taken away. No limited accesses to health and financial supports, and that's really what I've noticed is the difference is people not feeling safe or knowing what's out there versus it's not embedded in any one culture.
No.
But the resources and barriers is what I've noticed is the difference.
And it's in the Aussie culture, still women are dying every week.
Every
and
week,
there's so many, walks that are done, in kind of in memory of women who have been killed either by a partner or by a stranger or stalker, something like that. However, it's just we don't see ethnic women's just put out there, because I think it's they don't really report, or it's kind of hidden in the community. But it happens to all cultures. It's just in Western societies it's actually publicized, this abuse and violence, while in other cultures it's kind of hidden, And I guess sometimes there's also the fear, I guess, of, because I think us, for me personally, as a South Sudanese woman, we've been on TV for so many wrong reasons. And I think we don't want people to turn it into a racist thing. So it's more of a violent, issue.
Many survivors, they feel discouraged to report gender-based violence in general. So why is this, and how can we make reporting gender-based violence a victim-centred experience, especially in our culturally and linguistically diverse community?
People who have poor experiences or lack of knowledge about what will happen if they call the police can be a real barrier. Hearing that the court system won't protect them, fearing that they won't be believed, fear of losing their children. And, that's not for one particular culture, but across the board in my experience. But then, ways of managing that could be, I know they've started to introduce having social workers with police, cultural liaisons, ensuring there's interpreters for cultural safety. Some people don't want to report to their own culture, and that's also a barrier. If they had an interpreter, they don't feel safe because the fear of talking to communities. So it is really complex, but there are things that we can do to improve. We need to improve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, the process of like just, not knowing how long this is going to take, for people, it could be like an issue. So they think if it's just going to drag on, it could be a trigger for them as well, for it to keep dragging on. So they just think, oh, let it go. And some people are like from faith background as well, who just say like, oh, like God or Allah would take care of it, and I'll just, like go on with my life and not report or something like that.
Because I was thinking, the child protection would take my son away from me. So I was scared to report, and it was painful. But I spoke to police, I love my son, but this keep happen to me, what shall I do, They said, it's okay, they won't take your son away, And happened twice, not just one time. It was painful, And that police here ensured me that they won't take my son away, So we just have to speak to a professional, Sorry.
No, don't apologize.
Yeah, it's a very, touching issue, because it's the same as well in a lot of, communities. Because like as well from my background, like, South Sudanese culture, and I'm, thinking a lot of also other African culture, like, traditionally, like, the man, like, follow like the tribe or the culture of the, the father. So like, the husband's family say, these are our kids. If you like, report or something like this, we will take the kids away because these kids, belong to us. Yeah. So a lot of people fear that, they might lose their kids because they're being the troublemaker. Yeah.
And did you get the support you need?
Yeah, I had a social worker, and I actually, one of the ones happened to me, and the first one, I actually seek a counselor in North Richmond, and I saw Beck. Yeah, I saw Beck, and she helped me a lot, especially with court process and family violence. So she helped me. She drew, picture on the wall and stuff. It helps me a lot. And then that 2 years ago happened to me, different men. So in that also, I know the police helped me a lot, because like I didn't know where to get social worker.
Yeah.
But I spoke to them and I was so hurt and scared. I couldn't even sleep for a long time. So I spoke to the police and they helped me a lot. So, and also I went to court for intervention order. There was a social worker, so she spoke to me and encouraged me, So I got help a lot, but still hurt me to this day. Yeah, because there was physical abuse and also verbal abuse, And I was thinking I'm not good enough for any man, I'm not good mom to my son. I was thinking like that. So, but it hurt, but at least I'm not involving, at least that trigger left my life, and now my son's safe, I'm safe, which is good. And thank you for, I thank social workers.
When I listen to Marion speak, there's an empowering narrative. There's victim survivor. So when you follow someone along that path where you're a victim, then you're a victim survivor, and then you're actively living the life that you want to live, even though someone tried to take it away from you, whether consciously or not, that's what was happening. And so how do you help guide them through that path?
The image, I guess, that comes to mind is I never walk behind them, I never walk in front of them, I walk alongside them at their pace, at their time. I can't rush their journey because they have been living in unsafety and they know how to stay safer than I know. My job is to support them to do what they need to do when they're ready. For a lot of reasons, it's actually safer for a woman to stay because the highest risk of murder is once you leave. So if I tell a woman, you have to go, I could be putting her in more risk. It's individual, and it's taking an individual approach and meeting the person where they're at, wherever that is, and knowing that they're the expert.
Yeah, it's
I
so
have system
true.
awareness. I have training in the area, but I don't know their partner.
Yeah,
I don't know their
exactly.
history.
Yeah.
I trust them, and it's the most effective and respectful way. And feminist, of course.
Yeah.
I agree. Yes, it's it's really important to just meet women where they are and and if they want to make that decision to leave when they're ready, it's all right. Because a lot of the times, sometimes women or tell friends, or especially most of the time I know women tell friends and then they're just pressuring them why can't you leave, why can't you leave, why can't you leave.
And then they stop talking to you about it and you shut them down.
Yeah, and because they feel I'm a failure because I can't leave, or I haven't left, or I have tried to leave. I have tried to leave 1 or 2 times and I failed. So I don't know. I think it's just important not to pressure women, tell them leave. It makes them feel worse, Because it's so hard to leave. And I've read a few years ago, it takes 7 attempts.
7, absolutely.
7 attempts
The
to
average
leave.
is 7, and every time a woman leaves, she learns something new. Even if she has to return home, she learns something new that makes it safer for her to go next time. And I tell every woman I meet that.
In addition to that, I think, the abusive person always try to change the routine.
Yes.
When he thinks you really to move this situation out and seeking for help, he changes his way.
He escalates.
And he trying, to be nice few times or weeks, then he repeat the, again.
Yeah, the
so
cycle.
They know how to, you control the situation. Even if they know this woman trying to get help, he try, I'm going to be good husband for you. Please forgive me, sake of the kiddies.
Yeah,
we have
honeymoon
these
phase.
kiddies, If you leave, you're not able to get man in your life because you have 5 kids, you have 7 kids who going to marry you. And women in cultural, where I come from, the age of 30 or 32, she have 7 or 8 kids. So she's young lady. And again, if she leave this situation, an abusive situation, he's just trying to, control. No one marry you again if you leave me. So, and your kids will be out father. Especially you have boys, they become teenagers. You cannot control. So just keep me because of your kids. Let me abuse you more. So, there is a lot of bad, histories they trying, to control of a woman because they think I'm a man, I know how to deal. Well, women doing everything. If you look around, women got taken to the school, they taken back home. Where is the father of these kids? If you see in the school, go to school, women only picking up the kids. They taking back. They are shopping centers. They doing everything. Where is the fathers? There is no fathers involved in their life. Women are everywhere, and they're crying more, and it causing mental illness because they put pressure more physically and mentally, and they're exhausted and tired. We need man to be involved in, family life, and take the responsibility the kids, because only mother. It's not okay. They have mother and father. So father take the responsibility because you see everywhere women having kids more. So we need men involved in this situation so they can, reduce, the violence, the mental illness, the physical tiredness.
When I say leave the situation, sometimes it depends. If you have that power to live and confidence and chance, it's better to avoid that situation so you get help. And if you can't, and then slowly assess your situation and try to get help. But for me, the first one, I actually ran out of the house. I took my son, I ran out of the house because if I pick the phone to call police, it will make it worse, and that's the time the person hit me, So I leave the phone, I pretend I'm not going anywhere. But I took my son because he was baby. I took my son with me. I need to go throw the rubbish. I'll come back, And then I took my son, ran downstairs, called security. I told the security to call police, but I stayed downstairs, and then the person actually left. With the second one, I had to actually tell the person to leave the house. If not, I'll call police, But that person resisted to leave, But it was so hard. And then I told the person, I'm going to do it, I'm going to call police. It's not okay. And then, like, my friend was around, but still threatened me to hit me. But my son was sleeping. So I can't run away, even though my friend there, but I can't wake my son. So what I did was, I told the person to leave, and my friend didn't help me, but I know someone is there, he's not going to physically do it. So start to, speaking to me my language, that person don't understand what he's saying. So, but I told him, if you're not, I'm really calling. I took the phone, I'm calling, that person actually left. So it's good in that way to live. It depends your situation. And I lived in safe house before I had my son. Not because of family violence, but something else. I live safe house, and I met the girls. I live with the girls who experience family violence and homelessness, and some women, they grow up in foster care. So I met them. I spoke to them, and one of the girl actually abused by husband. She was married, family arranged marriage, and she was Indian. And when she told me about her experience, and even she was like 20, she had gray hair, because of stress and stuff. And when we walked together, she see white car, she used to get scared. Oh, see him, he come, That much she was so abused by him, So I tell her, it's good you come to this place, and we all girls here, you can talk to us anytime, We all experience, we all face this, And I tell her, you can talk to a social worker, and there was social worker actually staying overnight with us, So I tell her, you can talk to them. They're not gonna, share your information with other people, You are safe here, you can speak to them. But she used to trust me and tell me about her situation, And I tell her, it's good you get help. It's good. And, this man not going to be around. Don't worry. If you see white car, not all men have white car, Or not him. He won't have 100 cars, So I tell her, it's okay, it's okay. So I build trust with her. So wherever we go shop, she go with me,
Women partnering with women is what I just heard you say.
Yeah.
Which is such a powerful thing to do.
And I was just going to say, wow, it's very important that women, supporting women, we need men in this, situation. We need men as allies,
Absolutely.
as champions in the community. So, if you have a trusted man to, I guess, to call, and then they can come in that situation, man to man, it can be, I don't know, it can be really powerful, I guess, because, the partner, which is, because violence, it's often done by men, and it's just, they would fear the man more, I guess. I don't know, but that's just what I think.
I saw on the advertisement on TV, this man, he met his friend. He was he catch up with his friend, and then he was talking about his woman, how he treat her, and then the other man, they were listening, what he's saying. And then he was laughing and stuff, and then they told him it's not okay to abuse your woman, It was powerful message. I saw it on TV.
Calling out the male violence, and women can do it, men can do it. It's just such an important thing. We need to be active bystanders.
Yeah, we need to be. We need men bystanders to call out violence, in a lot of communities. I guess especially in this estate, we need male figures who are completely against it,
But I think as a mothers, when we have boys, we need to teach our kids, respect a girl. For example, I have 2 boys, and always I say women are powerful, and he say, no, mama, the men are powerful. And we need to encourage, we have a power, and we have a right. We have to respect each other, one another. And he said, there is no police officer in woman. And I said, there is. And I show him really there is a police officer in the he was like 4, and I say, look, this woman, they are police. And he said, no, they can be women. And say, look at them. And they take it off the heart. They come and talk to him and say, and he believed it. Now he's a woman, he's okay.
Yeah.
But we need to teach, like boys, they say girls are weaker than us. They're not powerful. So we need to teach boys, respecting women.
Yeah. It's that learnt behaviour and what they witness at home that informs those early messagings in their formative years. Yeah. And there are beginning to be programs in schools because they've identified early intervention is the best way. Yeah. But from the minute and even the non-verbals that even if dad doesn't say anything and gives a look to mum, the child can still pick that up. Yeah. So the messaging, it's just so key. And that is what's going to create structural change. We need structural change.
Yeah. My son, he told me, Mom, do you like men? I say, so I was shocked. I say, why you ask me like that question? He say, because man make you unhappy, he told me. Make you angry, I told him, not really, why you say that? I don't see you with men, much. But you don't sound like you're okay with men, he told me. I said to him, no, all men are not the same, And I told him, so there are men, caring and loving, they like to be with the, family and, but not all men are the same. And I want you, when you grow up, to respect women, to respect me first, I'm your mother, And then in the future, I told him to respect your friend. If she's a girl, to respect her, He said, I play with the girl and boy, and I treat them the same way. And he believe in God. He tells me that we all God's children.
It's the first day of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence here at North Richmond Community Health Centre. And we're going to start the day with some speeches by Brendan, the Executive Manager of Community Services and Consumer Empowerment, Nazik Nasser, Program Manager, Counselling and Casework, and Aurora Delcourt, the Program Manager at Multicultural Centre for Women's Health.
In Australia, so not just Victoria, on average, one woman is murdered by a current or former partner each week, and 1 in 2 women has experienced sexual harassment. They're very confronting statistics.
Working with victim survivors of men's violence, have witnessed acts of resistance against men's violence and the strength and resilience of women each day. Today we walk to honour the perseverance and the courage against acts of violence.
We don't excuse perpetrators. Dare to speak up to promote gender equality. Dare to speak up to challenge rigid gender construction and stereotype.
Okay, here we are on the walking route. I met 2 really cool people and we had a chat about being an activist against gender-based violence. Hello, what's your name?
Anyak. What I normally say to a lot of people who may not want to see this as an important thing to do, raising awareness, is that we all come from a mother. We all have sisters. We all have daughters at some point in life. So any violence against a woman is a violence against our own family members as well.
Very well said. And can I interview you as well? Hello, what's your name?
Yum Maker. So given that I'm from a culture that's so governed by like male authority, and then coming to Australia, a country of freedoms and rights, and hearing all the mothers talk about all the issues that they have, I think they need a voice and they need a space. Those aren't things that we discuss. I think it's upon us, the young people who are educated, to be the voice for the mothers and I guess stop the family violence that's happening within our community.
Back in the studio for the second part of our interview, I have a couple more questions for the panel. What are some practical things for the everyday person when they encounter everyday gendered violence, even if it's comparatively less violent, like street harassment, compared to hearing your friend talk about being violent towards their partner? If you're, say, an everyday guy and you see this, what is some good advice for him?
Call it out. Call it out. If we stand by, we're being complicit.
Yeah.
If you're a woman and it's not safe, make your assessment, but otherwise call it out. Don't put yourself at risk, but, you know, if there's a position to call it out and say that's not okay, we're complicit with silence.
True.
And when I say that, I mean men, but for a woman as well, if there's an opportunity to stand up and say that's not okay.
True.
I've had to do it in a shopping centre and everyone, like I was going up the lift and I could hear something and I looked around, no one acted. It was a very unsafe situation. The person I was with followed the male, I followed the woman, and even no one called security.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, they could have just sat there and made one phone call. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
So act, call it out, do what's safe, but call it out.
I was just going to share like just a personal incident that happened to me, which till this day I find it very powerful and significant. Like I was at uni, I was like, 23 years old, something like that. And, I was on my way, like, home, like, yes, I usually take the bus in the evening. And, there was like another guy, like, similar, like from my community, like completely drunk, came, was like harassing me, like, I told him not to sit next to me specifically, but he did. And then he was like just talking in my language and I just felt really uncomfortable. And the bus is moving. So I felt like I couldn't go anywhere. And like, it was just so uncomfortable. And it's just amazing, like out of nowhere, like this amazing young Asian lady, like she came from the back of the bus and like just... grab my hand and like say, come with me. You leave her alone. She was like, if you bother her again, I'll call the police. And then, she just took me and I like, basically like let me sit in the inside. And she was sitting outside like until I got home. And she was like, if you want me to walk you all the way home, I will. Yeah, and she was encouraging me to report. And to be honest, like at that situation, I said it's a small thing. I don't want to report. And I was like, it's just going to drag on. And I did promise her, like, if it keeps happening, I'll report. But it's a, one incident, which in reality, it wasn't a one incident.
I can see on your face, it's not one thing. I can feel it.
It wasn't. I used to see him all the time at the bus stop. And it was just, really... so till this day I remember her and I really did, thank her, and it was so powerful,
I hope she's listening today.
Yeah, hopefully, like if she's listening, forgot her name, but
doesn't matter.
It's just, it was just amazing.
In this area, women are disadvantaged, I met women they pressurize, like because of culture and language barrier and stuff. So I wanna like create group for women that to if they are facing something, there is help, So yeah, and I have spoke to a lot of women what happened to me, and they're like, wow, it's good, and it's good to escape that situation before bad thing happen, And some of them, they share, I'm having with my husband at the moment, he's abusing me, but I love him so much. I don't want to leave him, I'm like, that's not love. If he loves you, he doesn't treat you like that, That's not love. Before escape become higher, you have to, do this. She's still not taking the action, but I'm patient with her. I'm not telling her, come on, and I'm not pushing her to do it, but I tell her, okay, talk to me anytime. I'm here for you, It's good to have somebody say, I'm here for you,
That's the best thing you can do.
You feel like you are, you don't struggle when it comes to the point that, you are in, danger, you know where to go. You got someone say, I'm here.
It would be great, I guess if there's like support groups for women like who have gone like through like abuse in their relationships.
They're run through Women's Health in the North. Each community health in the region runs one. I run one here, but unfortunately due to COVID it hasn't been running. But I know Darebin, I know all the ones in the northeast are running. Some are online, some are face to face. The power of group that I know is that, like, other women talking to other women who have experienced the same thing. I've been running those groups for years, and the change that happens is so powerful compared to what I can do one-on-one in a room.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, both are important for different reasons, but the power of groups is amazing, and women coming together, sharing experience and not feeling isolated and ashamed because they've got one voice from him, but in a group they've got a voice of women saying the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm thinking to pass message, women encourage and empower one another, not to bully one another. The problem is we are women. If we we have this weakness or problem, we don't support a lot. We just, take advantage for the person suffering for the issue instead of helping. We take advantage from them. Like, they have like some weakness or physically or mentally weakness, sickness. We not help a lot. We like, to
It's
control.
Kind of like used against you.
Still, we need to help each other, especially when it comes woman not in safe situation. And if you feel that this woman is not safe, just report it. Even if she's not willing to report, just report to the right people and say, I know this woman, she's in danger.
Perhaps there are people out there going through a rough time at the moment. What message do you want to give them?
Speak to someone is always the first thing that you can do. And there's a number of ways of doing that. So there's 1-800-RESPECT, which is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's Safe Steps, which is 1-800-015-188. That is a 24-hour response service and can refer to emergency accommodation. The Sexual Assault Crisis Line is 1-800-806-292. They are also 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There is Men's Referral Service for men wanting to access support about issues with their relationships. That is 1300-766-491. I'd also like to include Children's Helpline, which is 1-800-551-800. We have the Elder Abuse Line, which is 1-800-353-374. And our counselling casework team, finally, at North Richmond. For reception, call 9418-9800. Other options are to speak to your GP or any other trusted family member or community member and get pointed in the right direction. I'm conscious I don't have In Touch's number. Can anyone Google that? There's also Switchboard for LGBT violence or Thorn Harbour Health, because the LGBT plus community also experience family violence. It's not as commonly known, but it is equally prevalent. I also work with that community at North Richmond Community Health and have many clients on my caseload who identify that way with family violence.
Yes, the In Touch number is 1-800-755-988. To speak to someone for an intake worker. Yeah, and I also just want to add, like, also for our team, like the mental health project team, you can usually, call me at 0459-963-517. And if they come to reception and they ask for the mental health, project team, like the health and well-being concierges will usually be available, to come down and talk to someone as a first step. Yeah, we'll be also doing, our team will be doing outreach in the community around the states, like Collingwood, Fitzroy and Richmond. So they'll see us around. We'll be introducing ourselves.
And in addition to that, we are different background and we speak different language. So if it's good way to come with us if you're not able to communicate, and we have flyers each language, so they will the numbers use telling us now we put it in as a Somali or Chinese, Vietnamese, any language we put it.
I also just want to promote that North Richmond has Fitzroy Legal Service that offers free legal advice to women at North Richmond on a fortnightly basis. We have some amazing lawyers that have been working with us a long time, so I just want to promote that as well. So not only do we provide information and support and counselling, but we have access to lawyers we can refer you to as well.
Amazing.
As someone who has lived experience and is a victim survivor, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's having a rough time? Someone who was in your position that you were in. What would you tell them?
There is help, and don't give up, and be strong, and we're here for you.
Everyone did so amazing.
Oh, you guys, that was so emotional.
Such a good conversation.
It wasn't what I expected.
No, it wasn't what I was expecting.
A big thank you to our guests today, Achut, Mental Health Coordinator, Mariam, Health and Wellbeing Concierge, Rebecca, Counselling Caseworker, and Merrin. Of course, Merrin her bravery today was very much appreciated and admired by each of us in the room, and I'm sure by the audience who are listening today. It's clear that she has found a clear path in helping other people, and I hope that she's very proud of herself. I also want to point out that Uniting Care has escaping violence packages up to $5,000. The payments will help address the financial barriers that may stop women from leaving violent relationships. If you are at risk, or if you know someone who is in immediate danger, call 000 or call Lifeline on 13 11 14. They can help you put you in contact with a crisis service in your state 24 hours, 7 days a week. Or call Achut at NRCH. Achut's number is 0459 963 517. Once again, it was great to have you with us today. Tune in next time. We'll see you then.